Face on Mars. Back in 1976, NASA's Viking 1 orbiter snapped a photo of a hill on Mars, and the internet freaked out. It looked like a face. All the features were there. The eyes, the mouth, the nose, and not just any face. This thing looked like a dusty stone monument straight out of a Martian Mount Rushmore. The face on Mars instantly became alien conspiracy gold. People thought it was proof of an ancient Martian civilization, left behind like a creepy red planet calling card. But before we all packed our bags for a Mars meet and greet, NASA scientists took a closer look. The spooky face was just a boring old mesa, basically a flat-topped hill caught in a perfect lighting and shadow to trick our eyes. It's a classic case of pareidolia, the brain's weird habit of finding faces in clouds, toast, or rocky Martian terrain. Later missions like Mars Global Surveyor and Mars Reconnaissance Orbiter came in with sharper cameras and zoomed in on it. But there was no face, just wind-worn rock doing what rocks do, eroding in strange but entirely natural ways. Still, the face on Mars refuses to fade from pop culture. It's the space version of seeing Elvis in your pancakes. A geological feature got elevated to space legend status, all because of a perfectly timed shadow and our face-loving human brains. Pluto's cryovolcanoes. Pluto makes you question the floor is lava game. Way out in the frozen suburbs of the solar system, this tiny dwarf planet is rocking ice volcanoes. These bougie cryovolcanoes make slushies made of water, nitrogen, and maybe a splash of ammonia. If that doesn't sound like an alien smoothie, we don't know what does. Wright Mons and Picard Mons are Pluto's frosty twin peaks. These massive domes stretch several kilometers high and are topped with huge depressions that scream something definitely blew up here. But instead of belching fire, these guys likely oozed goopy ice slush across the surface. The weirdest part is that these formations are sitting in relatively young terrain with barely any craters, meaning the cryo-eruptions could have happened recently. As in, Pluto might still be burping up frozen goo. And where's all this frigid mush coming from? Scientists think there could be a subsurface ocean sloshing around beneath Pluto's icy crust, meaning beneath that frozen shell might be a watery world just waiting to blow its top again. Venus's phosphine. It seems like Venus, a planet famous for melting lead, raining acid, and being hotter than your air fryer on max heat, just might smell like life? In 2020, scientists spotted phosphine gas floating in Venus's thick clouds. And on Earth, that stuff's basically the stinky calling card of anaerobic bacteria. Phosphine is the kind of gas you get from microbes doing their thing in oxygen-starved places like sewage plants or swamp mud. It's not the kind of chemical you expect drifting through the skies of a planet where the atmosphere is 96% carbon dioxide and hot enough to bake a pizza in seconds. So naturally, people started wondering, could something be alive up there? Scientists quickly split into two teams. Team aliens, maybe, and team let's not get carried away. Some argue it was all just a telescope mirage. Others said, sure, there's phosphine, but it could be from weird volcanic chemistry or lightning zapping stuff in the clouds. Still, the research didn't stop. The original team stood their ground, and follow-up analysis backed them up. At least, kind of. The whole thing triggered a renewed interest in Venus, a planet we mostly ignored. So is something alive in the clouds of Venus? We don't know yet. But one thing's clear. The second planet from the sun just got a whole lot more interesting and maybe a little stinkier. You're still here because you're into weird space mysteries like this. You might as well like and subscribe then. Who knows? Your comment may be the next big discovery. Io's volcanoes. If hell had a moon, it would be Io. Jupiter's third largest moon isn't just hot-headed. It's literally the most volcanically active body in the solar system. Imagine a world where volcanoes constantly erupt, lava lakes bubble like overcooked soup, and plumes of sulfur blast hundreds of kilometers into space like angry yellow geysers. That's Tuesday on Io. But how does this frozen little moon become a non-stop volcanic fireworks show? Blame its overbearing parent, Jupiter. Io's orbit isn't a simple loop. Instead, it's an elliptical tug-of-war with Jupiter and its sibling moons, Europa and Ganymede. This constant gravitational bullying squeezes and stretches Io like a stress ball, generating internal heat so intense that its rocky insides melt. The result is lava, lots and lots of lava, large enough to shame Earth's most powerful volcanoes. And thanks to missions like Juno and telescopes like the Large Binocular Telescope, we've seen Io in action. So, if you ever thought Earth's volcanoes were scary, take a peek at Io. It's like the universe's angry pressure cooker, minus the safety valve. Mars' spoon. At first glance, it looks like someone left their silverware on Mars. A perfectly shaped spoon, handle, bowl, shadow, and all, just hovering above the red dust like it's ready to stir some interplanetary soup. But before you accuse NASA of hiding Martian kitchen sets, take a breath. This floating spoon is just another classic case of your brain getting punked by, you guessed it, pareidolia. Captured by NASA's Curiosity rover, the rock formation went viral because it really does look like a levitating spoon. But to everyone's disappointment, it's not floating, and it's definitely not a spoon. It's what geologists call a ventifact, a rock sculpted by the relentless grind of Martian wind and sand over thousands, if not millions of years. Those winds are no joke. They sandblast everything, slowly shaping rocks into smooth, bizarre structures that can trick even the sharpest eyes. So why does it look like it's floating? Lighting and shadows. The angle of the sun casts just enough darkness under the handle to make it appear suspended in midair. Add in the human brain's love for familiar shapes, and you have a floating spoon. Mars' jelly donut. In 2014, NASA's Opportunity rover took a photo of something that looked way out of place on the Martian surface. A small, round rock with a bright white rim and a dark red center. Expectedly, the internet dubbed it the Jelly Donut Rock, and for a hot second, Mars looked like it was hosting a low-key bake sale. Scientists were left baffled, mainly because this rock wasn't in the rover's earlier photos. One day it wasn't there, the next day it was. Did it fall from the sky? Were there Martian chefs? Turns out the answer was a bit more grounded, literally. NASA figured out that Opportunity had accidentally flipped the rock while turning in place. The rover's wheels dislodged it from a large piece of bedrock just uphill. Mystery solved, no aliens, just a clumsy robot doing donuts. But here's the thing, even though it was just a rock, the jelly donut turned out to be geologically interesting. It had high levels of sulfur, magnesium, and manganese, elements that usually form in wet environments. In other words, this little rock might have had a water-soaked past. Not exactly proof of life, but still enough to raise eyebrows in the science world. So while it wasn't baked, filled, or even slightly edible, the jelly donut rock gave us a sweet surprise and a big clue about Mars' wetter, wilder past. Saturn's hexagon. Most planets have storms that look like swirls, spots, or stripes. But Saturn decided to do its own thing. Around its north pole spins one of the weirdest weather patterns in the solar system. A perfect hexagon. Yeah, a six-sided jet stream on a gas giant that's been spinning like clockwork since the 1980s when NASA's Voyager first caught sight of it. Each side of this bizarre atmospheric polygon is about 9,000 miles long. That's longer than the entire United States, and it's so stable it's been chilling and spinning up there for at least 40 years, possibly centuries. Powered by 200-plus mile-per-hour winds, the hexagon is essentially a planetary jet stream gone rogue. No other planet has anything like it. So scientists tried to recreate the hexagon in a lab using spinning water tanks. Turns out under the right conditions, fluid dynamics can just do that. Oh, and the color changes with the seasons from bluish in winter to golden in summer, probably because of changing sunlight and haze. So what's causing it? Well, that's still a mystery. Pluto's icy spider. Just when you thought Pluto was the quiet loner at the edge of the solar system, it hits you with a giant ice spider. Okay, it's not a literal spider, but in 2015, NASA's New Horizons spacecraft snapped a photo of a bizarre structure on Pluto that looks eerily like a spider squatting on the surface. Scientists call it the ice spider, and it's made up of a central hub with at least 6 massive fractures, some stretching hundreds of miles, radiating out like creepy frozen legs. This isn't some artistic accident. These icy cracks are tectonic fractures that are the result of Pluto's crust being stretched and stressed. So what's causing the tension? One theory is that material from beneath the surface is pushing upward, possibly even linked to the freezing and expansion of a subsurface ocean. Because sure, why wouldn't the coldest little planet also have drama happening underground? Weirdly, the cracks appear to expose a reddish layer beneath the surface, possibly organic compounds, possibly just more weird Pluto stuff. Either way, the spider's legs bleed red. Similar spider-like features have been spotted on Mercury and Venus, so this isn't a Pluto-exclusive design. But Pluto's version is arguably the most dramatic. Mars' smiley face. Mars might be a cold, dry, lifeless desert now, but once upon a time it apparently had a sense of humor. In a surprising twist of cosmic comedy, scientists using the European Space Agency's ExoMars Trace Gas Orbiter discovered what looks like a giant smiley face grinning back at us from the red planet. Like most Mars's earthly resemblances, the smiley face was not actually a smiley face. It's a geological formation made of ancient salt deposits and two meteor craters that just happen to resemble eyes. The whole formation only shows up in infrared imaging where the salt rings around a long-gone lake light up in pink and violet hues. And where there's ancient water and salt, there might have been life. So the possibility of microbial Martians? Maybe. At the very least, this salty smile is a chemical footprint from a wetter, possibly habitable era. But the best part is still Mars accidentally making emoji art. Venus pancake domes. If you love pancakes, you might like what Venus is serving. Venus is serving up pancakes that are miles wide and made of lava, known as pancake domes. These geological beasts are flat-topped, steep-sided volcanoes that look like someone flipped a hotcake the size of a city and forgot the syrup. Unlike Earth's pointy cone-shaped volcanoes, Venusian pancake domes spread out wide. We're talking 10 to 100 kilometers across, but only about a kilometer high. Imagine a stack of one pancake that's somehow as wide as LA, but only as tall as a skyscraper. Now that's weird. These lava pancakes are made of super viscous lava, just like chocolate lava cake. Instead of flowing easily like on Earth's volcanoes, this goopy mess barely moves, piles up, and then splat. Crustal stress from Venus's surface warping may also squish and shape these domes. And just like that, you get waffle domes. Titan's methane lakes. If you showed someone a photo of Titan, Saturn's biggest moon, they might think they're looking at a gloomy version of Earth. Lakes, rivers, clouds, it's all there. But here's the thing, those lakes aren't filled with water, they're full of liquid methane. Yep, Titan is basically Earth's evil twin who stores farts in its lakes. Because Titan is colder than your ex's heart, at around minus 290 degrees Fahrenheit. Methane and ethane stay liquid. It rains methane, it forms rivers, it fills lakes, it even evaporates and forms clouds. It's basically a full-blown hydrocarbon water cycle, just without the water. Some lakes are the size of the Great Lakes, and some are hundreds of feet deep. One even sits on a hill that's like finding a bathtub on your roof. Science is still figuring out how it makes any sense. And because Titan has a thick atmosphere and complex chemistry, it's one of the few places in the solar system where we just might find life. Not swimming fish life, more like alien sludge, thriving in methane goo life. NASA is so intrigued, they're sending a drone called Dragonfly to cruise around Titan in the 2030s. If it finds anything weird, we'll be the first to tell you. Until then, Titan remains our favorite frozen gas swamp in space.